On today's episode, we recap DEKA Norcal with Yancy Culp. Welcome to the OCR Report podcast, brought to you by the OCRReport.com. We are the only podcast to focus exclusively on the elite sport of obstacle course racing, from Spartan to Tough Mudder to the OCR World Championships, and wherever the elites are racing, we are there. My name is Will Hicks, and this is the OCR Report. Welcome back to the OCR Report podcast. How have you been? Little hiatus. Glad to be talking with you again. If you've missed us on the podcast, hopefully you've been catching up with us on YouTube and on Instagram. Follow us on Instagram at the OCR Report, youtube.com/the OCR Report, the live stream home of obstacle course racing. We'd love to see you over there. Spartan, DEKA, Savage, World's Toughest Mudder, OCR World Championships, and some local races too. War X, smaller stuff like that. We love bringing you the race live streams. It's very exciting, and it's fun to if you're not out there racing on a Saturday, it's fun to watch a race. You can also support the show at patreon.com/the OCR Report. You can become an OCR Report member for as little as $5 a month. You can support the sport we love. Get some behind the scenes stuff, get some private conversations with athletes, and we should bring some more athletes over there, huh? They want to talk. And the staff of the OCR Report over at patreon.com/the OCR Report. It's not so much the OCR Report, just the OCR Report. It's supporting the sport. Every single dollar for our Patreon goes right back into the sport, to live stream coverage, to equipment for broadcasting, for just getting our staff to events, to literally every penny. We're not. Every dollar the members of the OCR Report entrust to us is taken seriously, and we appreciate it can be tough out there. I know it. So for you to contribute $5 a month or more, $10, $20, whatever you want, is not something we take lightly or take for granted. And so I appreciate that. Patreon.com/the OCR Report. This last weekend in Sacramento was DEKA Norcal. There was some controversy at the finish line, both on the men's side and on the women's side. We're going to get into the details of all of that with Yancy Culp here in a minute. Yancy is the director of DEKA. What Joe DeSena is to Spartan, Yancy is to DEKA. And so we brought him on to specifically talk about the race, but also the two controversies and exactly what happened at the race, what happened immediately after the race, and then what the statuses of both athletes is going forward. Hey, let's read some iTunes reviews.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars. 5 stars.
No reviews to read today, but you can leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Open the purple podcast button, scroll down and search the OCR Report. Click our logo and then leave us a review. We will read it on a future episode. If you listen on Spotify, you can't leave a written review, but you can leave a 5 stars review at any time you'd like on Spotify.
5 stars.
That's Shiv from Succession. Got to mix her into the 5-star rotation. Yancy Culp, good man, one of the adults in the room with the sport of obstacle course racing and hybrid fitness. Always a pleasure to talk with him. Just a heads up, there are a few grown-up words used sporadically throughout the conversation. I don't want you to be surprised if you got kids in the back seat. It's time to talk with Yancy Culp. Let's go to the phones. Yancy Culp is the director of DEKA. He is the founder of yancycamp.com and a beloved member of the OCR and hybrid fitness community. Yancy Culp, welcome to the show.
Well, it's been a long time. I feel like the last time we were formally on was maybe a post World's Toughest Mudder or something. I felt like we did those every year. Um, I love that something happened. So we had a good excuse to connect again. I got to see you in SoCal. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, Will came and earned his very first DEKA mark in SoCal. And before we started recording there, we had the great Jason Dupree on, who, if you've ever done a DEKA fit, Jason's normally there on site making all the great live feeds happen. So fist bump to Jason, dude. Salt of the earth, good dude, man. So,
And so you mentioned World's Toughest Mudder. The very first time you and I met, you don't remember this. I promise you don't remember this.
up north at the 12, at the 8 hour, 12 hour.
Before that, World's Toughest Mudder
14 or 15.
15. Did you run 16?
I was 14 when the shitstorm hit us, dude.
I wasn't at 14. I was at 15. And we were in Mud Mile. And I was in Mud Mile, kind of like humping over and you passed me. And I saw your bib. It said, I don't know if it said Yancy. I think it just said Yancy. And I was like, Yancy Camp. And then you turn around, you're like, hey, good, keep crushing or whatever. I don't know, he said something. And then as you're running away, I'm like, his last name is not Camp. What am I doing? Anyway.
Dude, for years, people thought my last name was Camp. I was like, I'm not going to put my actual name on my shirts.
Hey, 2 weeks ago, just on a personal note, I did run DEKA Anaheim and had a great time. You and I talked about DEKA even before it started. You're like, hey, come on out, get your mark. And I was like, I am not Mr. Weightlifter guy. Like, and one thing you told me is that we designed DEKA so that literally anyone, might take them a long time, but literally there's no handstand push-ups or no walking on handstands like other competitions. Literally every station, anyone can do it. And it might take you time if you're not fit, if you're not used to doing a ski erg, you got to kind of figure it out. Like, what's a rowing machine? How do I, you might have to learn, but it's physically doable for literal, like 99% of people, I'd say.
It's going to meet everybody where they are right now. I don't care if you're on a fitness journey or you're not. I don't care if you're 100 pounds overweight or whatever, wherever you stand there. We're not going to have to teach you how to do any of the zones, and they're going to be low risk of injury. So what we see, Will, in the 1,500 plus events that our gyms have held is a lot of members putting their coaching hat on, inviting those friends, family, coworkers, and neighbors in, and like, listen, Susie, Bill, I promise this is going to meet you where you're at right now. And they come in nervous, but they all finish, and we hang a medal around their neck, and they can kind of see themselves as an athlete when they've got their name on a leaderboard for the very first time in their life.
I enjoy OCR, love obstacle course racing, but I had way more fun than I expected at DEKA. I ran age group just because I don't know why, but it was fun after the race. You see everyone kind of gathered around the big TVs, like watching where their rankings are, and are they they're on the podium? Can they stay on the podium? Is it they get bumped off? And it's a fun experience the whole day.
Yeah, man. And we broadened our bookends at Spartan with DEKA. All the cyborgs, you see them at the badasses that have been lived on the podium at Spartan for many years. They're same people living on the podium at DEKA. Great fitness test, but we have a lot of new people that are kind of getting that gateway drug, and of course some of them will go on and do Spartans and Tough Mudders and other things under our umbrella. But it's dude, we're in the business of dealing with the world's most powerful drug, fitness, movement, and exercise. We've seen it change and save lives, and that's why we freaking love what we do.
The world's most powerful drug. Hey, let's talk about DEKA Norcal. Last weekend, there was some controversy at the finish line, ×2. A man and a woman, Mark Polzin and Jessica Caviglia, both had some controversy and a lot of discussion online. I wanted to talk about each of them. What I want to do is talk about them individually, and then we'll kind of talk about the rule book afterwards. So we'll talk about what happened at the race. We'll talk about what happened immediately after the race, and then what's the direction going forward for each of them. So I thought I'd just start with Mark Polzin. At the finish line, at the last station, station 10, Mark did 19. The official count is that he did 19 burpees. Can you kind of break down what happened at the finish line and what happened immediately after?
Yeah, one of our staff members, actually, when he crossed the finish line, we try to have as many staff members there. We're going to get better at this, but one thing we always try to do is, hey, all available staff members that know the brand very well, try to be at the finish line and help count you kind of like to do at stadium races. If you've ever been to a Spartan, you want to try to get to those first 5, 6, 7 people with as much detail as possible. If something happens after that, it's not affecting podium, it's not affecting prize money, those kind of things. It's not as impactful if you make a mistake. So one of our staff members said, wait a second, I think he only did 19. So that alerted us, knowing that we have you rock stars there, OCR report, and sometimes we'll have one staff member, Robin, shooting some video. So it's a DEKA organized or DEKA generated video production. a piece of video, and sure enough, we went and a lot of people were like, "Well, did athletes come and tell you that?" No, we had a staff member actually. I talked to him at the Two Bears 5K, dude, in Pasadena. We got to spend a few minutes talking about that a little later. Oh my gosh, getting to hang out with Jelly Roll, Tom Segura, Bert Kreiser, and Tony Hinchcliffe and whatnot. That was an absolute blast. So we're talking about this. He's like, "Yeah, I went and watched video, and we confirmed that he only did 19 on the live feed." So anyway, you want to roll in your next question, or where are we here?
Well, actually, before we even get to that, like, can you talk about the role of the live feed and like what the video review process? I guess what does that look like when something like this happens? How do you get the tape? Is it what's that process look like?
It's an interesting situation because I was talking to the team post. It's like team, we got to realize that we're very blessed to have the OCR report doing live feed for all of our DEKA fits. Staff is there; they're doing live feed. We don't, and to be honest, I would be perfectly okay if we never go here, but we don't have like these. Okay, here's zone 10. Here's a dedicated camera going through it. We might. I'm not gonna lie. We could be there one day. We might not. I'm kind of torn on that. But right now, like for example, Philadelphia DEKA Fit OCR report could say we can't be there. Well, guess what? That means we're not going to have live feed. So we really have to have our together, our T's crossed and our I's dotted with how our staff is counting reps and monitoring movement standards and whatnot. But long story short, we have DEKA organized live feed. So we pull. In this case, I wasn't there, but they pulled the team in the back and they started watching. It's like, sure enough, he only did 19 reps. Now, some of his reps were actually shaky. I don't do a rep versus a rep is like, oh, that's a kind of a close gray area rep. That's two completely different things. Okay, we don't. If a judge lets you go through, the judge doesn't call a no rep, let's say, then that's a no rep. We're not going to get in the business of going back and reviewing all 10 peoples and counting all the reps and all the zones and all that stuff, making sure the rep is 100% elbow lockout. That's out of the conversation here. But when we see an actual rep that was skipped, in this case, he beat Jack by like a half a body length. Obviously played a very, very key role. One of our staff members said, I only think he did 19 because our staff members, again, are trying to count the first 5, 6, 7 people. That process worked. They went and counted, sure enough, 19 reps. And I want to say before we dive in any deeper with Mark or Jessica, here's the deal, team. We need to get this out early. I'm the one that needs to fall flat on the sword and be super transparent and honest here. I left our team hanging. The rule book, the way it was written on game day, and to be honest, for the past couple years with DEKA, technically on paper, when you read into it, it says that we can send people home, we can DQ, send people packing for anything, basically. And that's not who we want to be, of course. We want penalties meeting the crime. So what had happened earlier in the year, and even last year and before, there would be every now and then a unique situation where it's like, oh, that was an infraction. Let's go to the back room and come up with a penalty that met the crime. And we've given out time penalties before. To my bad, and I freaking kicked me in the ass. I never said, wait a second here. Let's clearly spell these things out. So when it does happen, I'm not here or whatever, where let's say we have a few new members that are cycling, and they don't know DEKA, but they're kind of in a lead role in some type of organized management role. It's like, okay, let's go to the rule book. Okay, he clearly missed a rep. Mark Polson video showed it. That's a 20-second penalty. It's super easy. Or a Jessica safety violation, which now the rule book says this. We're kind of diving into the rule book just a little bit. I apologize, Will, but now the rule book says for Jessica, you drop the ram down. It's more about it's the safety violation. That's what we're calling it to protect our volunteers because those things bounce. If you saw Jessica's, hers bounce right into that volunteer. That's a 30-second violation. You get hit a little harder. And, now we'll slowly get that cleaned up. Doesn't mean it's the last time a ram will be dropped. One will be dropped again, I promise you. But we've got a very clear cut. Everybody saw the ram drop. She crosses the finish line. It's like, and it's not at a DEKA Fit and World Championships, it's not about, hey, that rep doesn't count. It's about at certain events, that is an actual safety violation. Now, I'm not going to put our 330 gyms in a situation where they've got notepads and somebody drops a ram, like, okay, add a 30-second penalty. To them, it's like it's a no rep. Tell them to go back and clean it up. But that also helps clean it up as well. But for these high-profile events where we're giving out prize money, DEKA Fits and World Championships, it's a safety violation and you're hit with a 30-second penalty.
So wait, so you talked about there's going to be some updates to the rule book, following NorCal before the next event. Is there going to be a separate rule book for the small DEKA, the local DEKA events versus the?
No, there's a line in there that's for take zones 1 and 10, for example, where a ram could be dropped, where it specifically says there's language that says that is considered a no rep until you replace the ram. But in this case, it also says that after that, at DEKA Fit events, World Championships events, dropping the ram is an infraction that could lead, I don't remember the exact terms, but could lead to a 30-second penalty.
Okay.
Where we would review it, and obviously it's like, there's a little gray area there. Okay. It's like, it was 2 inches off the ground when you let go. Obviously it's like, we're going to calmer heads will prevail with that type of stuff. But most of the time it's somebody dropping it from like right around in this range. And if it doesn't hit perfectly flat, that freaking thing is going to go flying. And that's what we want to prevent. So that's kind of cleared up in the rule book to where it's like, okay, at these prize money events where we have to have, long story short, I'm going to look at it this way. We may have 30 events this weekend across 30 different gyms. I'm not going to put them in a situation where you just randomly just penalties flying all over the place at these gym events where we've had tons of success. 1,500 plus events have happened. To them, it's going to stay, listen, that rep doesn't count. Tell them to go back and put it in the proper place before that rep counts. And some of that will slip through the cracks. It is what it is. The beauty of us saying that 1,500 events have taken place, people are celebrating fitness all over the world, and most of these events, not a single Spartan DEKA staff member is there. You meaning we can put on formal Spartan races where people can qualify for world championships and earn their marks, and we can do it here. We've got the right to do that, to celebrate fitness. Because to be honest, a lot of people say, well, that DEKA Fit's their big event. Let me be perfectly transparent and honest with you. Our big event, this is how our we built the brand. No. Our big events happen every single weekend at communities and small communities all over the world and large communities where 50 to 150 plus people come and enjoy a Spartan race, a Spartan DEKA race inside their second home, their gym. That's our big event, and it will always be our big event, and it's all about celebrating fitness. So sorry to get on the rabbit hole there.
Oh, no, all good. So one rule book, but with some room for the local gyms to interpret. It could be a no rep, just make it right, versus at a big DEKA event, if it's a safety violation, it could be a 30-second penalty.
Yeah, we got video rolling, podium prize money is in the thing, podiums, medals, and because this is roll down into the age group as well, who are fighting for podiums and teams, fighting in podiums and awesome awards and whatnot. In some cases at World Championships, prize money. We have to have a clear cut. It's a safety violation. And technically here's the thing. 99% of the dropping the rams at the gym events has even been cleared up. It's kind of like dropping the Herc-hoist. It got cleaned up once they created a rule. It still happens every now and then. But it's been pretty much cleaned up. And that was all about safety. It would have never, I actually love optics wise. Let's say Red Bull's there or Netflix is there. We're videoing us along with you guys.
It looks
Throwing
cooler.
shit around is fun to watch, man, and going crazy fast and people bumping and grinding coming in. But this one was mainly about, protecting the volunteers. Like somebody said, Yancy, what about zone 4 when a med ball rolls off when you don't place it down until it dies? I'm like, guys, we're not going to go there. We're not going to start policing this in a way. Honestly, what's more dangerous than a ram dropping? The crazy flying in and out of zones where collisions could happen. DEKA Mile World Championships. I said this earlier in the podcast. That's the most amazing Fast and Furious thing you've ever seen in your life. And you want to talk about danger. There's some danger there, but we're not going to try to police that. Like, you guys need to slow down coming in and out of the zones. No, a little bit of NASCAR, WWE, Fast and Furious is freaking awesome.
Little rubbing is racing.
Yeah.
So there is a thing in the rule book where it talks about returning the ram to its original position. Like, is there its clarification as far as vertical or horizontal? Does that
No,
matter?
it clearly says it does not, and not is capitalized. It does not have to end up on its end because those rams are handmade. And the reason why I don't require that is some of them will have a 3-degree slope where you almost have to keep your hand on it for a second so it doesn't tip over. So no. It's not throwing or dropping. It's placing it down. Like if you're up here and you come down really fast and it bangs into the ground, but your hands are on it and your hands are there and it doesn't bounce around at all. That's not throwing it down. That's you dropping it faster than the person next to you, but you kept good control over it. So yeah, I guess you could say there's a tiny bit of gray area, but no, you do not have to have that thing. I saw something from Spain there. That's like, well, the easiest way to clear this up is make a small little square box and make sure it's standing in there. Not going to go there, man. Not going to over police you guys in a way where it gets, I don't want to say ridiculous, but just there's life is full of gray area, man. It just is. The U.S. law book is the thickest rule book on planet Earth, and even then you find deviation from that.
Well, we got it. I think the reason we don't necessarily want the gray area is because, so let's, God forbid, someone gets hit by a bus and you want the work to outlive us, right? Like, so you want that clarified. Like maybe there is a wedding, your kids are getting married this weekend and you can't make it to DEKA, San Diego. So,
Yep.
I understand why people don't want the gray area.
I think you'll really like this. Jack and I, so I got all the rules written, right? And Jack's really good. I showed him the penalties that I wanted, and he's like, and here's the thing, I just so everybody knows, because we always try, and it's very important for me to give as many people as possible a seat at the table. Again, and I've talked to, we've had some great talks with Spartan and Tough Mudder over the years and whatnot about, if we can create situations where we're getting ready to do something, let's get some people involved. But what would the athletes think about this? Like, okay, we're getting ready to DQ somebody. Let's pretend 1,000 athletes are here. If 90+% of them was like, oh my gosh, don't send them home. Let's we can clean the rule book up later, but let's try to calmer heads prevail. Or let's, if Ryan Woods touches the structure, let's don't drop out a 10-minute penalty. So we're always getting better. We make mistakes and we get better. But
that is a long call. That's like a 4-year ago. That's I
think that might be 6 or 7. But long story short, come up with something. So I think you guys will love. I went down my rabbit hole, but Jack and I created this. Jack's really good at creating nice visuals. So he has a chart that takes the written word. A lot of people like visuals, and now it's this beautiful chart that we can have posted at the warm-up area, for example. And I'm sure it's going to fly all over social media once it goes live, probably in an hour or two, if it hasn't gone live already. So when this podcast is over, you're gonna kick it out today, Will?
Yeah, man, we'll be out.
Awesome. So right when you listen to this, you'll be able to go see that chart in the rule book, and I'm sure it'll be flying all over social media. But it just outlines it all. And again, it's probably, somebody will probably find something that's like, I don't like that, but it's not perfect, but it's so much better than it was. It gives our people, if I'm not there, or if I am there, it gives all of us some really clear-cut structure of what we should and shouldn't do.
Let's wrap up with, or revisit Mark before we jump into Jessica. What was the final decision at the venue with Mark? And then what is the kind of the status of him right now? Like what's the final call?
Yeah, so these podcasts that I'm shooting today is where we're kind of officially announcing it. That and again, I've already reached out to every athlete. Mark and Jessica and Michelle and Julie, all of them already know this. I didn't want it to be a shock to them. And I've talked to so many athletes, and by the way, they're very happy with the way we're handling this, especially the women. Michelle and Julie were just so freaking. They didn't even want to walk up on that stage. They were just like, I can't believe this is happening to Jessica. But long story short, Mark is given zones 1, 3, and 4 are going to be 10-second penalties because they go really fast. Zones 8 and 10 are 20-second penalties. So instead of being DQ, Mark's going to get 20 seconds added to his time.
So those times you just said are per rep or per missed rep?
Yep, per missed rep, up to 80%. Every single zone in the rule book now says if you decide to try to really cheat us and you finish less than 80% of that zone, at that point we do have the right to DQ you. The rule book clearly states that. But if you get 80% or more, let's say zone 10, so 15, I'm sorry, 16 would be 80%. If you miss anywhere from 1 to 16, I should say, it would be a 20-second penalty per missed rep. But if you try to slip by with less than 80, we drop the hammer on you pretty hard there, meaning you're out of here. So 20 seconds for 8 and 10. Zone 9 is going to be a minute and a half if you missed a complete down and back. And then we have some specific language for zones 2, 5, 6, and 7, which are a little unique. You got the meters on the 2 and 5. You got the 100-meter distance on zone 6, and you get 25 cows. The rule book for zone 7, the penalty matches the same concept as zones 2 and 5, where it's meters. But we don't have to go through everyone in great detail. But just know that it makes a lot of sense. It's really in line with the penalty meets the crime, and we smack you around a little bit, but it doesn't. We don't send your ass packing.
And it sounds like there was some thought put into, okay, what if someone tries to game the system and like, oh, if I can skip this many burpees and just take that second penalty.
You're going to get hammered. Yeah, if you skip this many burpees, let's say you only do 15. less than 80%, the rule book says we can clearly DQ you.
Sure.
Because that goes above and beyond race brain, in our opinion. Like it's like the same thing, 80% in zone 2. If you leave at 399 meters, that's not race brain, dude. That's you're planning and scheming and hoping somebody doesn't catch it. If we catch it, we can DQ you. If you leave a couple meters early, it's 20 seconds. So yeah, we put a lot of thought into that. And when I like to get like our staff's looking at it, and then I reach out to people. I don't advertise it, but I'll give them some shout outs. I reach out to a lot of our athletes and gym owners and Jack and others that just like there's no way this freaking Looney Tune can get it all right. If I've got 25 people like giving their opinions that we trust and they want to see the brand generally move forward, putting our best foot forward, and ultimately I'll flat out say it. There were some things that's like when I thought I had it done, it's like, oh no, that's a good point. I need to tweak that a little more. So a lot of that went on over the past couple days.
So what's the final status of Mark Polzin for DEKA Norcal?
Just 20 seconds added to his actual finish time, which, he easily puts him like 19 seconds behind Jack, which is, it would have taken him 3 or 4 seconds to do an actual rep. So he gets those, it's give or take 4 to 5 times the amount of time it would take to do that rep. So you get a little bit of, let's say a 15-second extra smack for that. But again, it doesn't flip the whole, you don't look at the time 5 years and I was like, why did he run this? It's a logical penalty that definitely is like, I damn sure won't do that again type penalty because it hurts pretty bad.
So Mark finishes in 4th place. Jack's still on podium.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Let's talk about Jessica in a little more detail.
Yep.
Jessica at the finish line, she threw down her ram at the end of her set of 20 burpees. She did all 20. No controversy there. No controversy as far as no reps. She threw down the burpee. It bounced after the throwdown before she crossed the finish line. What happened immediately after the race with Jessica?
Yeah, I actually call it dropping because dropping the ram because I think the word. I know it's semantics. No, it's fine. There's semantics. Like I've never seen somebody actually try to like slam it down, throw it down. But so they drop it, but it's a heavy weight coming from, in her case, probably 5'5", maybe even a little bit above her head. So it's an obvious penalty. She bails off. The way the rule book was written, again, it needed to be a little clear. Technically, the way the rule book was written, if that judge would have hollered at her and told her to come back and place it, technically she would have. So what we've done with the rule book is we've clearly called it a safety violation, and you can get a safety violation penalty. It's almost like the freaking, illegal block in the back or something in the NFL. It's safety violation. Don't do that shit again. But so she bails off. And because of the way the rule book was written, the team went back and was like, we really don't have any specific guidance here. It says we can DQ her, so we're DQ. So she was DQ'd, found out shortly afterwards, and then Mark was informed. And that's just that. So with Jessica, what we've done, and this is very unique, and I hope we're going to take some time to walk through this one because I think it's important, and again, going back to a couple races ago, I think it was Knoxville, this should have been my light bulb moment that we needed to fix this. And life gets crazy sometimes. I needed to go into the rule book after this one because Killian dropped it. And we're like, guys, we got to start doing something with this. So as a team, we came up with, well, if he would have done that, he was averaging about 5 seconds per rep. So let's give him a 5-second penalty. Looking back on it, that was not a good plan. Sometimes you're just moving crazy fast and he got a 5-second penalty. It is what it is. So to be very, very fair with the precedent that we started early in the year and didn't clean up on the back end on our end with the rule book, after Knoxville, we hadn't cleaned it up yet. So we said, listen, Jessica needs a 5-second penalty. So she easily stays in second. Let's say Jessica, I know she won't, but if somebody else does the exact same thing in Austin, it'll be a 30-second penalty. Mark Polzin does the exact same thing in Austin or somebody else, it would be a 20-second penalty. So Jessica will receive 5 seconds, but moving forward, starting in Austin and beyond, if you drop the ram down, it'll be a 30-second safety penalty is what it's outlined in the rule book.
So going forward, a drop burpee or any similar safety penalty is 30 seconds.
There's only 3. 1 dropping the ram and 1 dropping the ram in 10 and 6. Not because this is getting a little bit bad. In 6, not returning your dumbbells to the starting location.
Okay.
That doesn't. If the dumbbell's 2 inches outside the red zone, we're not gonna go there. But what's happening, we have some guys just kind of sliding them into the girls. We had a couple guys at NorCal slide them into the girls, and they're left out in the middle of freaking the alleyway and stuff. We're trying to clean up the tripping hazards and whatnot. So that is considered a safety penalty as well now. If you just don't get them over to the general area they were when they started.
You can drop the dumbbells into the box or into the
there may come the time. Again, I didn't want to be, at least for now, I didn't want to be in a situation where, hey, let's come up with a 12-inch, 18-inch, whatever actual height where it's impossible to manage. Right now, it's not a huge issue. Yes, I would love to snap my fingers and be able to have everybody graciously place them down where my volunteer doesn't have to move them at all. It turns into more of a working situation, not necessarily a safety issue, because the volunteer is always kind of cleaning them up a little bit. But here's to be honest, shout out to all of our age groupers, especially our open category people, and most of the age groupers. They leave there with their stuff and nice and neat. It's the elites that kind of cause the troubles. I love you guys and gals. But anyway, so yeah, if people start actually dropping them from heights, extreme heights, absolutely. The one thing, they're always hanging as low as you can get them. So even when they're kind of dropped, they're always dropped from a kind of a squatting position rolling into the zone, and they are dropped a little bit. Nobody's going to actually try to pick them up and drop them from high. That would be insane. So it's not a massive issue. Just getting them back to the right area is the key issue here.
We're talking about the farmer's carry station.
Zone 6.
Okay, so in general, 30 seconds for safety violations, 20 seconds for no reps.
20 seconds for zones 8 and 10.
For missed reps.
Missed reps.
That are not done.
Yeah, no reps and missed reps, much different. Zones 1, 3, and 4, which are much faster reps. Again, we just didn't want to give out the standard. That's a 10-second because, and it's not, we didn't want to take and give different for every single zone, but 1, 3, and 4 are really fast. Zones 8 and 10 are slower than those. So that's the reason for the difference in the missed rep penalty.
Okay, outstanding. So with Jessica, to kind of bring her story to a close, she was DQ'd originally, but it was moved to a 5-second penalty based on precedent from especially Killian at Knoxville. So what's her final status right now?
I think the first thing I want to say, and this is the most important to me of this whole podcast, and I'll say it on every one of them, is it crushes me, and I know it crushes the team. I hate that she didn't get to enjoy her moment up on the podium as an aging badass elite athlete. That hit me so freaking hard, and I know it hits our team as well. I love our team, man. We got a phenomenal team that just loves putting on events. So shout out to every one of them. Everybody at Spartan. So she didn't get to enjoy that experience. So what we're gonna do, obviously, she goes right back in when she gets. I think it's already been done. She's now showing on the leaderboard with the exact time that she had plus 5 seconds. So she was easily in second. So she's easily the second place finisher at NorCal. But this is very important. The decisions that we made on race day left Michelle Navarro in second, Julie Best in third. We're not going to strip their deltas. We're not going to strip their experience. What we're going to do is I'm pressing right now to get Jessica Biglia a silver delta sent to her home, and her leaderboard time has already been reinstated. And I'm going all over podcasts saying, Jessica, great freaking race. My friend, you were the one that finished second. But again, to Michelle and Julie did nothing wrong. Number one, they both told me, I had conversations with them last night. They both felt, they're like, I was almost in tears, not even wanting to go up there and celebrate this because we didn't want to see Jessica disqualified for dropping a ram. So again, man, I think I wanted to make sure we come at this in a way. Maybe we're all better at being not taking, as Kevin Hart said in the Tom Brady roast, let's don't take ourselves too serious and be okay. Like if we screw up, just like, and I'm doing it right now, I screwed up and I apologize to everybody that it caused all the craziness. And just life is freaking wonderful, man. And we get to go out and race and test our fitness every now and then. We're trying to do our best here to make it as clean as possible. So I love that I get to go on this podcast and talk about Jessica so much to where thousands of people are actually she's going to get better results after this than if she would have actually gotten that podium, because I'm going to make sure of it, Jessica. We love you. We appreciate you. Shout out to all the fast people, man. OCR report, they're there. Will and team and Jason are there every single race. And let's say it like it is. People watch sport because they like people. They like watching the cyborgs, man. It fills my love tank to see the person 100 pounds overweight. But here's the thing. When you watch people like Jessica and Mark and Michelle and Julie and all the people that have ever been affected by things not going perfect on our end, there are thousands of people watching those show report because they like watching those individuals and those teams go crazy fast. So that's why at Spartan and all of our brands, we want to always try to give the athletes a seat at the table and let them know that their opinions and their ideas matter to us. Again, it might not mean that we're going to listen to exactly what you're saying, do exactly what you want us to do, but your opinion matters. And we just appreciate you guys and gals for being there, because not everybody can go as fast as you can, and you're freaking fun to watch.
Yeah, see, I can't speak for everybody, but I do know no one faults you for missing one race weekend. You had some personal obligations you had to attend to over the weekend, and you weren't. This is, as far as I can remember, the first big event you weren't at for DEKA. So no one's holding. No one's saying, "Oh man, if only Yancy was there, this wouldn't have happened." So
I'm so glad you brought that up, and I don't want to cut you off, but I'm so glad you brought that up because I should have already done this. Our team on site technically did nothing wrong. They didn't, man, and I don't want anybody saying that, because they did not. They were just left hanging a little bit, and now we're better for it. So I appreciate you bringing that up, brother.
I want just a couple questions. I had some specific questions about the rule book, but it sounds like as the new rule book is being updated, even like as we're speaking, it'll come out, and so maybe we have some follow up questions we can talk about later. But the specifics about the rule book are all going to be kind of evolving, so we'll revisit that at a later time. I did have a question. Judges' decisions the day of the race. You know, it happens, and we see it in football, we see it in baseball all the time. Sometimes the referee, sometimes the umpire gets it wrong, and that ball was not a ball; it was a strike. But he missed the call. But that's what we're going with. Like,
yes,
you made the call. You got to play with what the umpire called.
That's exactly right.
What's the thought or the behind the scenes of that with DEKA? What are the thoughts of judges on race day?
Super excited you brought this up because I had it on my notes and I had forgotten to bring it up so far. But great question, brother. So here's the deal. I'll speak for ourselves and guys, even probably I love what they're doing over there, High Rocks and other brands. Behind the scenes, here's what we're saying sometimes. I can speak for all of them. Maybe not CrossFit. They've been doing it so long that they really do a great job, but they're far from perfect either. We just kind of looked at them for their professionalism sometimes. Or the NFL, like you said. Sometimes we're behind the scenes an hour before go time is like, are we going to have enough volunteers? That's our number. And we're just super excited when we have enough. They can count to 20, 25, and 30. We're happy. That's the reality. You guys know me, man. I'm going to be super transparent with you. So what we're trying to do, like, for example, Tyler was there counting Mark's reps. We always try to do that. And so Tyler was the one that's like, dude, I don't think he got 20. Now, what we're going to do, I got a couple things to cover here. What we're going to do moving forward at every DEKA Fit and World Championships is we're going to have actual, let's say the first 6 or 7 people that go through, 5 worst case scenario. We're going to have actual staff members that aren't a little nervous to speak up, that aren't a little nervous to call a no rep, that aren't a little nervous. They're like, listen, this is big time stuff. They're racing for money and awesome prizes and qualifying for world championships, all the stuff. So, and then when you get past the fast 6, 7, or 8 people, you can kind of relax a little bit. It's no longer impacting money or podium. So that's one thing we're going to do is try to have more staff members. Actually, when that first place person comes through, okay, staff member number 1, you're on Isaac Sanderson. Okay, you got Glenn, you got Jack, you got Mark. We kind of had that going. Tyler caught Mark, luckily. But here's another thing. If a volunteer or even a staff member volunteer, if it's a gray area rep and that staff member or volunteer counts that rep, what we're not going to set ourselves up for ever is 15 or 27 people with their iPhones videoing over the fence saying, hey, so-and-so's elbows were a little short. Can you go back to the video and confirm? And then we go to the back room and give that person a penalty. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's like I think a great analogy there is like you got the rectangle in baseball and the ball was this far outside the white line, but the ump called it a strike or a ball versus, and it's like, no, we don't go to the video yet. They might one day, but right now we don't go to the video and say, no, it was a centimeter away from the line. No, if they're terrible, egregious, yes, we're hoping our staff members and or our volunteers that are there on volunteer day are going to be okay with calling that out, and we're going to coach them up the best we can. But missing an entire rep versus just shy of elbow extension, that's a completely different deal. So I hope that kind of clears that up.
Sure. So if there is any video review is prompted only by DEKA. It's not like someone with no one at the sideline showing their phone. That's not an official. That's not enough to trigger a review as someone on the sideline showing their phone. It has to come from DEKA, or it has to be like the official live feed, or from Robin, from DEKA
Yeah,
staff.
and I want to be super transparent. I think there's, and again, I hate to use the word gray area, but for things like reps and things, elbows weren't extended or whatever, knee missed the ground by a centimeter, that type of stuff, absolutely not. But let's say, I can't even think of a perfect example off the top of my head, like,
Well, counting reps, like at 19 versus 20, is
yeah,
pretty.
I'm not gonna. If that judge let them through and none of us caught it, I'm not gonna have Susie come over with her phone and say, I got beat by a second and the person ahead of me missed the rep, but I just can't go there. Because
Sure.
that's no different than 2 million people watching a golf match or a football match in the NFL or PGA taking a call from Susie.
Which has happened.
We can't, it's nothing different. It happened in golf, and we're not gonna do that.
Right.
Susie may have caught something, but we failed there and our system failed, and it just is what it is. It is what it is. So, but I'm trying to think of a good example, and I can't right now, but there could be something like really insane happen that, let's say Jason and team missed it, OCR report missed it, and somebody's like, oh my God, did you see what happened over in that zone? If it's something insane level stuff, we could reconvene behind the scenes and say, guys, in this case, do we want to use that video? So you never want to say just like black and white no, because something crazy could happen.
Sure.
But we're not going to do it for something like a shady rep or something like that. Or let's say somebody freaking Kevin Gregory tackles somebody coming. That's a good example. Some girl, let's make it really crazy. Kevin would never do this. Some girl's running by, and Kevin he's on the other team. He tackles her, and Jason and team don't get it. Let's say that would be a case where we might take Susie's phone and say, holy shit, we might want to use Susie's phone for this one. So I hope that clears it up.
So generally, video review, it's not planning on using video review. It's a judge's decision as a general rule.
The line item in the rule book states, for video review, if it's DEKA generated or DEKA organized, meaning we organize with you guys.
Sure.
That's what the specific statement says, where we could possibly go to video review.
So there will be an updated rule book for the next DEKA event. That's going live. We're talking on May 10th to go live today-ish. All the athletes, I'm sure, will have a copy of it, and they'll be able to review it and submit, or if they have questions, they can get in touch with you before the race.
Yeah, and it will be live today. Nelson sent me a message about an hour ago saying within the hour, so it might be live as we're recording. But if not, sometime a little later today.
Is there any concern, athletes that competed, try to qualify for world championships before the updated rule book versus after the rule book, kind of a mid-season rule change? Is there any, or is it just
this is just us completely falling on the sword? And then if it was something minor, we would wait till January 1 or October 2024. But in this case, it's like, dude, we got to freaking wave the red flag and say we screwed up. We need to do this. And honestly, I don't think this. My gut is there's not going to be a single person that gets to go or not go because of this. It could happen, but no. Normally, even with a little bit of mistakes that all the mistakes we've made over the last 4 years, the last 2 world championships, and this and that, it's pretty much who should have been there is there. But no, if that comes up, I'll just simply say, this case, it was a bad enough screw up with me on the rule book that I just said we got to do it mid-season.
You guys recently announced the DEKA World Championships venue and dates for this December.
Yes, sir. December 13th, 14th, and 15th in Ocala, Florida. I think that's how it's pronounced, right outside of Orlando. Beautiful little town community. A lot of history there, believe it or not. It's considered the horse equestrian capital of the world. We're going to be inside Ocala is just in a beautiful venue. It's just beautiful equestrian centers and this magnificent hotel. I think the hotel's sold out, by the way, but Ocala's a neat little downtown. And you're only a short drive if you bring the family, you're a short drive from Mickey Mouse and team at Disney World. And to be honest, if you want to do extended trip, you're a short drive. You're right in the middle of the state, so you're a short drive to the Atlantic or the Gulf if you want to do some beach time. So I'm super excited about the venue, super excited about the location. I'm super excited that we've really grown a lot in Europe. We're tons of affiliates in the UK, 4 or 5 in Ireland now, and 4 or 5 in Italy. So those type of countries. In Spain, it's a shorter flight than DFW last year. So some of the Europeans are really excited about that. It's funny, the Europeans and I totally get it, because public transportation is so huge over there, and our public transportation is subpar. They're like, I bet I've had 7 Europeans say, Yancy, the public transportation from Orlando to Ocala sucks. It's like, I'm sorry, but I never thought about something like this.
You
But
have
anyway,
to learn to drive and rent a car, I guess.
yep.
What's as far as getting, European athletes or non-US athletes to qualify for the World Championships? Is there a process for that? Are they able to do that?
So there will probably be 50, 60, 70 DEKA Strong, DEKA Mile, and DEKA Strong, DEKA Mile team events in Europe this year. 60, 70, 80, let's say. Again, just UK alone, if those gyms just put on 2 events each, you'd be sitting at about 30. So a bunch of opportunities. Spain is where everybody that's qualified for DEKA Fit last year, for example, and then the year before, most of them went to the Spain DEKA Fits. We did have one road show in Clitheroe, UK. We are going to have one DEKA Fit road show somewhere in UK. It's going to be announced very, very soon. It'll be kind of a road show DEKA Fit, not the glitz and the glamour inside a convention center space, but kind of like Clitheroe, but a little cleaner than last year. So that will give some of those people that can't fly to Spain an opportunity for all 3 events.
I want to ask you about the Two Bears 5K, but is there anything else DEKA we should talk about first?
Dude, hang on. Let me get the, I'm sure I'll think of something, but let me get the medal.
So Two Bears 5K was organized by Bert Kreischer and Tom Segura, 2 comedians who have a podcast. They're both known for not being super fit, although they're both working on it. But it was kind of in fact, Bert Kreischer's whole gag is that he likes to take his shirt off when he does stand-up comedy. So they organized a 5K called the Two Bears 5K, and Yancy and DEKA were involved in the Two Bears 5K. So Yancy's just got back, and he's got something to show us. Yeah.
So Spartan was actually a key organizer and kind of project management role of the 5K. They leaned in on, like, wait a second, Spartan's good at putting on events. They can put them on the side on event for 10,000 people on the side of a freaking mountain with mud and barbed wire. Surely they can put on a 5K in Pasadena at the Rose Bowl. So here's the deal. I'm gonna start with this. Listen, I know everybody out there, it's just a whirlwind of craziness coming every day. We see it all the time, and we're worried about it and all this stuff. If you don't lean in on comedy yet, I'm going to coach you up to lean in on comedy. I said earlier in the call, fitness, movement, and exercise is the world's greatest drug. Comedy is one of the world's greatest drugs as well. Laughing at yourself and laughing at others and just laughing at all this wild, crazy stuff we deal with is fun. It is medicine. When you smile and laugh, chemicals are released in the brain. So to Bert and Tom, Tony Hinchcliffe were there, and so many other. And by the way, if you've not listened to Tony and team at that Tom Brady roast, you better go listen to that freaking roast. It's the greatest roast that's ever happened. Kevin Hart nailed it. They all freaking nailed it. Tom got murdered, and then he came back and murdered them all afterwards. Have you listened to it, Will?
Tony Hinchcliffe, he killed. Literally
insane.
I've never seen anything like what Tony Hinchcliffe did on the roast of Tom Brady. It was
the Liver King, Rodney King, all this stuff. It's so overboard. But that's what comedy is. They tackle every subject, and it's just in fun. And they always beat themselves up more than they beat everybody else up. But anyway, it's you nailed it with your description of the Two Bears 5K. Here's with a medal. So check this out. We're every 30 minutes we're launching these waves of 400 or 500 people. Thousands went, and the last wave is Jelly Roll, Tom and Bert and Cam Haynes and all these people, Travis Barker, the drummer for Blink-182, and all these celebrities are going. And by design, it wasn't timed. They went out there and they just walked it, ran it, whatever. I think Cam did 3 or 4 of them. Cam Haynes, we know how much of a cyborg he is. But even the celebrities like having a medal hung around their neck. And This is my amazing staff shirt, Two Bears 5K, and we had a fun, man. A lot of fun to have Bert and Tony and team up there and Tom saying thank you, Spartan, and hey, go. We had probably 200 people going through DEKA Strong Arena, right where Vince frickin' Young, for all you Longhorn fans, scored the winning touchdown against USC in 2006. I set DEKA Zone 1 up right in that spot on purpose just so my wife could give me a high five from Austin, Texas, baby. Oh, it was so good. But I'm telling you, we laughed our asses off. So picture the Rose Bowl floor with shuffleboard tables, ping pong tables, cornhole, batting cages, golf simulators, spas, cold tubs, like couches, and just people celebrating together. And they did their 5K. A lot of them came through DEKA, and they're sitting there drinking Por Osos tequila, our vodka, the Bert and Tom's new vodka. It was just, you sit back and you're like, yeah, we do OCR, we do the Mud in the Bar, but we do DEKA, but we do this as well. And the next one's going to be in Austin, and they said we would love to have you guys there. So, man, anybody that can come to the Austin Two Bears event, I don't know the exact date yet, but we'll be there. And it's a blast, and we would love to see y'all. I mean, thousands of people came to their very first one, and what a great event, man. Jelly Rose lost like 70 pounds. Bert and Tom are getting in better shape. They all were fist bumping Joe Rogan a million times because he's the kind of the mastermind behind getting all the comedians in better shape. He's slowly getting them all on a fitness pathway, and the power of comedy, man. I try to make people laugh. I'm not good at much, but I try to bring big in. One thing I can control is my energy and trying to make people laugh. And just like at this podcast, you go like, gosh dang, Yancy's freaking, dude. He just says it like it is. It's a transparent. And I hope people got some laughs out of this, because I definitely do not take myself too serious. I'm the last person that needs to do that.
Fitness is the best drug, and laughter is the second best medicine.
Here's the official statement. Fitness, oh God, I just brain farted on it. I've said it so many freaking times. And you know why I brain farted? Because I got to tell you this. How cool is it to be at a Spartan race, the Two Bears 5K, where we're launching people out on 5K, and I can give this toast at a start line, a toast you would never give at a Spartan or a Tough Mudder or a DEKA. Here's the lying, cheating, stealing, and drinking, everybody. I know a bunch of you are going to be drinking here in a little bit. Lying to save your ass, cheating the hands of death, stealing the hearts of the ones you love, and always, always drinking with your friends. That's the toast I was giving at the freaking start line. How cool is that? That's an event right there, man. And sure enough, they went to the freaking, I think I messed something up when I was slamming on the old desk here, but that, and then they would run their 5K or walk it, and then they would go in and have some Por Oso. So life is good, man. You know, it really is good. And I pinch myself every single day and just say, God, you know, we're all in line. I said this on a podcast earlier. We're all in line. You're not getting out of the line, dude. You've only got so much time left. You never know. I lost my best friend on planet Earth and was at his funeral Saturday while Norcal was going on. And I walked up and gave his 15 minutes. I was up there giving his eulogy. Sometimes God takes the best a little early, and he was one of the best, and you never know. So when you find yourself in crazy mode sometimes, because I'm guilty of it, remember that you're in line. You don't know how much time you have left, but you got today, dude. You got today. And you can put your head on the pillow tonight and say, damn, today was good, dude. I did not want today to end because I pinched every single thing out of life today, and I hope I get tomorrow. And that's a beautiful life, man. If you can do that, people are going to want you on the team, you know, and we'll all be a little more fun to hang out with, because that's what that was. You know, when you get around comedy, it's a bunch of people that just doing life together. And so let's don't take ourselves too serious, man.
We're about halfway through 2024. Any sneak preview or any thoughts you guys plan on 2025?
Well, we've got our first DEKA Ultra coming up in Indiana. We're really excited about that. I know that's going to sell out. Maybe 30% of the tickets left. So if you haven't purchased that one yet, that's day 2 in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I love that location. You know, when you look at the map, there's freaking that's the one location, that part of the Midwest where you've got about 50 million people that major cities, large cities, all within 3 or 4 or 5 hours of that area. So you get people coming in from all over. So we want that to go well, like it is. We're excited about that, because what I think you can see in 2025 is more day 2 DEKA Ultra events. Don't hold me to that. We're seeing teams grow. We're having, like 300 tickets sold for teams. With that's 150 teams. That's really we're starting to see great growth there. You're starting to see the same thing at DEKA Strong and DEKA Mile events. So and teams allows our gyms to get, let's say you have two lines of equipment, you're able to get a lot more people out on course in a couple hours with teams. So we love that. More of the same. We unveiled Ruck this year for Strong and Mile. More ultra coming, more teams push. There's some things I won't talk about, but there's always a few things that they have to keep me in check. Much love to Robin and all the team. I kind of have I have the wild, crazy squirrel brain. It's like they're like, Yancy, those are great ideas, but we need to slowly roll things out, because I would be the worst. I would just overwhelm everybody with my crazy brain. So it's a slow process. The team keeps me in check, and they're freaking awesome. To Brian Nelson, Robin, Cynthia, Preston, Arlene, our little small staff, and to the team in Europe and Australia and Canada, and the Ram boys that are always giving me Irish leads. Just shout out to all the people out there that sometimes it's things I don't even know they're going on, but they're helping build DEKA. It's pretty awesome. And shout out to the main man, Joe. Even while he was losing $75 million freaking dollars during COVID, when we were forced to shut things down, he allowed us to keep going with DEKA when everybody thought he was crazy. He said, keep it going, keep it going. And until we got to about 275 gyms, we weren't making money, guys. And here's a guy that said, no, I'm not going to freaking declare Chapter 11. We owe people money. It's going to take a long time, and it's going to be brutal. It's going to hurt, but we're not going to declare Chapter 11. We're going to pay everybody off. I commend that dude, and he let us keep going. So the things you guys enjoy in DEKA this year and next year and beyond, none of these conversations are taking place if Joe wouldn't have said yes to some crazy ideas. So anyway.
Those are all shout out to all those people. 100%.
Yeah.
What does a DEKA Ultra look like? How long is that? How many miles? How many stations?
So picture the DEKA fit that you did. Picture pressing that 20th rep above your head, and then you set that ram down. You've now finished one DEKA fit. You have 4 more to go. Instead of running to the finish line, you run out of zone 10 and you start doing your 2 laps, and you go to zone 1 and you start round 2 over, and then round 3, round 4, round 5. So it's 25K, 15.5 miles. I catch grief every day. Yancy, that's not an ultra. I'm not calling it a running ultra. It's a fitness ultra. It's a DEKA ultra. We can do whatever the hell we want to do. It's 50 freaking zones. So go in there and do that and tell me it's not an ultra. It's going to take you, the best of the best are going to be somewhere around 3-4 plus hours. And what I love about it is, this, man, there's thousands of people that have tried to earn that Spartan ultra buckle. And they never have, and they may never will. But those same people, if they'll come to DEKA, we're gonna get them launched super early in the morning. If they just keep moving, just keep walking and slowly working through the zones, they will earn their very first Spartan ultra buckle, Spartan DEKA ultra buckle. And we love that, man. We're gonna have a lot of people get their first time buckle. The way DEKA is designed, though, you can only have about 200 and change in there throughout the day, or zones would start to clog up. So you got to get your tickets fast. We're getting close to being sold out, but there's going to be a pit alley. So picture, you've been to DEKA, like down one runway, on the far side of one runway will be picture like a 15-foot wide zone that runs all the way down. And there's an entryway when you come across the curve, and then an exit, several exits, to where you stop by your bin or your backpack, just like you do at an ultra. You take your goo, you get a shot of water, whatever, your hydration. You're allowed up to 2 pit crew. You can pay, I think, $35 to get up to 2 pit crew. To be honest, if you were my pit crew, I would say the number one thing I need you doing for me is helping me keep track of my laps, because you're going to get some race brain for sure. And then your 2 volunteers kind of moving back and forth, especially if you're competitive, like a Chris Roglowski or an Alex Walker, people like that who I know are going to be there. Maybe not Chris, but Alex for sure. And we got a ton of cyborgs coming. If you're an Alex Walker and you're trying to win the thing, you need somebody counting your laps, because that's a big penalty. If you miss a lap and come back and make it up, it's a 1-minute penalty. If you miss a lap and don't make it up, that's a 5-minute penalty. But just to have the pit crew there and people watching you all day long and cheering for you, like, think about if your mom or dad is there and they're able to walk up and watch you at all 50 zones and cheer for you over 6, 7, 8 hours. It's going to be a journey, man. Everybody that's done DEKA knows it kicks you in the ass. One DEKA fit. Obviously, you're going a little slower, but that's a lot of fitness, and that's a lot of running or walking. That's the layout, brother.
What's the date for that?
Oh, shoot. July. Oh, my gosh. I'll get it real quick here. July May, June, July, Indiana. It is Sunday Saturday is the DEKA Fit. Sunday the 21st is DEKA Fit Ultra.
July 21st.
It's great for the staff. Saturday when the DEKA Fit's done, we just go home. We don't have to do anything. It's everything's set up. So it's just another day. When you talk about renting the venue for another $5,000, a lot of times they'll give you some slack if you rent the second day. In this Indiana venue is the most beautiful venue you will ever see in any DEKA Fit take place. It's beautiful in the middle of Fort Wayne, Indiana, 120 something thousand square feet. But yeah, the 21st. And so I think you may see some day 2 DEKA Fits, DEKA Fit Ultras, a few more of those in 25, brother.
Yancy, any last thoughts on DEKA or
man?
Anything else?
I everything I've talked about over these past few years, I say it all the time. 4.5 years ago, I was having a lot of the same conversation, but I had my fingers crossed, just hoping it would work. So shout out to some of the people I've already shouted out again that helped make it work. Our team. Just this has been a fun movement, man, and I think I've already said this but maybe not. But our big events are every weekend, every single weekend, 52 weekends of the year. Small little community Spartan DEKA Strong, DEKA Mile events happen, and teams and ruck happen across the country, and those are our big events, man. When we get somebody to a finish line for the first time, or maybe it's been a long time, that's what we're truly celebrating. We're celebrating the power of fitness. It truly is the world's most powerful drug. Like I said, man, we've seen fitness movement and exercise change lives, and that's why we love what we do as fitness coaches and event producers. And it's the ultimate service industry. I kind of compare it to nurses and teachers, man. When you're in the fitness space and you're providing events and whatnot, and people have excitement about finish lines and breaking a sweat, it's a service industry. And about 95% of the people walking the planet have no business being in it. It's tough and it's a grind being in the ultimate service industry like this. But it is so rewarding and so fun. So for everybody everybody getting the medal hung around their neck to this weekend, tomorrow at DEKA events in your community, shout out to you and to everybody helping put on those events. Much love. And again, to Jessica, thank you so much. And I apologize that you did not get to enjoy that experience, but I hope all these podcasts where I talk about you over and over and over again, that you get to feel the love. So much love to you, my friend, and to Mark and anybody else that was affected or ever been affected, man. We love you guys. They don't happen unless people buy tickets. That events don't happen. So you are you're the most important part of the brand. So, Will, as always, man, thank you for your time, brother.
Yancy, it is my pleasure. You can sign up for your local DEKA Fit at DEKA.fit. You can watch the races at youtube.com/the OCR report. Yancy Culp, thanks much.
Absolutely, man.
Special thanks to Yancy Culp for appearing on this episode. Well done, Yancy. Come back anytime. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Become an OCR Report member. Support the sport. $5 a month. Patreon.com/the OCR Report. I will talk with you soon. Go spend time with someone you love.